We've also projected the enrollments of each of these NPUs, neighborhood planning units. We've also consolidated those so that we have three results. This is the result. We have three different enrollment projections. That is, we're projecting by attendance at the school. Just take that school and look at the past 5 years and moving it up 5 years. And then we projected by each of these neighborhood planning units, and then we put all the planning units together within a school and projected that. So you might say, well, haven't you done the same thing 3 times? No, because sometimes you'll have people enrolled in a school coming from somewhere else. Most oftentimes you do. So if they've been enrolled at a different rate over time, it might produce a phony trend. So the point of departure is who lives in this place. Then you decide what your transfer policy implications are to let people come in and go out. All school districts have basic transfer policies. They can be very narrow, very broad, but one of the things that typically is, and I'm not representing what's here, but typically teachers' children are allowed to come in from out of district or out of zone. You can see the obvious merit in that. You're trying to qualified instruction. Then there are hardship transfers of this kind, that kind. Sometimes programmatic things, special education, and so on. So those are found everywhere. But we really want to know what's in that zone to start with. Then you make decisions about special programs as to where they will be assigned based on what is going to impinge upon your facilities needs and where people live or go to those programs. So it's an equity issue. So back we are around to demographics and programs as well as the facilities. So projecting it all 3 ways, we came up within about 100 kids difference in 5 years between all 3 mechanisms. A word about our projections. I don't want to turn this into some treatise here, but what we do is we relate the first grade to who was born in the county. Okay? Because they're born by address in the health department within this county. We know the true count of who was born. We will relate that to who showed up in the first grade. Okay? That seems to be kind of common sense. Unfortunately, it's not too common, as somebody said. So doing that, we'll pick up the trends of in-migration and out-migration as between people coming into the lowest grade. All right, so that's the kind of a kickoff. And there's a lot of checks and balances looking back and forth to see if the programs have changed. And so they're in there. Then moving people from kids from grade to grade, we project for the entire district. And those are the big numbers. We project grade to grade. First grade this year became the second grade the next year, became the third grade the next year. We go back 5 years and do that for the entire district. And that is called cohort survival. The cohort group is moving up. But it isn't, we don't get caught up with the idea that it's the individuals. It's not Mary necessarily moving up. We're talking about numerical values. Because every school system is a dynamic. People are coming in and going out continually. I have some urban school districts where people transfer up to 35% of their vote moves around during the year, particularly in large urban areas. So the cohort group, though, still stands consistent. And so a cohort group moving from first grade to second grade includes, in the second grade, people who have moved in that weren't in the first grade, people who moved out that were in the first grade, and the survival. As you get in the upper grades, it also includes promotion and retention, because the people who made it up to the next group or didn't, and holding back at different grades. So that's kind of a nutshell. There's more to it, but sometimes it's simpler better. So we do that for the whole district. And then we do the same thing for each zone or group of neighborhoods. But we do it within the control of the overall figures. So it's both internally what their dynamic was, but it was also what piece of the pie did they have in the first grade. There's good reason for that, because these numbers in the tens of thousands sometimes, but these numbers are just maybe 100 or 2 from grade to grade. So typically school districts over-project because they project each school individually without that framework of the overall projection, and they end up hiring too many teachers. So that's part of the secret. We've tested this over the last 20 years or so. We have mathematical models to do this with, and I presented a number of court cases where I was building on how we did it, what the outcomes were, and how you could establish it was credible. So it's a reasonable approach, and I present it to you that way. So we have that. I'm talking to you right now about what we have and what we're going to get, because I want to distinguish that from what it is. Okay? Because you're not ready to start as a group to work on those numbers, because we don't have enough of the numbers for you to start with. We've done that part. The other thing that we've really done well from the local point of view is to look at the school district and see how the facilities are used. And for that, we used your local expertise. We didn't walk through these buildings. We asked the people who really know these buildings and know your curriculum to examine them. And see, Debbie, where are you? Come on. We had a team of two people that went around, and he's going to explain it, how they worked it, and I'd like you to give attention.
Actually, I'm going to yield the floor to Ms. Watson. She's going to start our presentation, and then I will finish up with it.
Good evening. I'm Sandra Watson. I'm Director of Elementary School Improvement and Professional Learning, former elementary principal at Peoples Elementary, assistant principal at several different elementaries, and this is I'm going into my 34th year of education. Of course, now I started when I was about 10, so you can do your own math there. I always hate to say that, but I do like to give people some idea of how long that I have been doing this sort of stuff. Dr. Dakotas gave Sam and the operations department they charged us with getting information about school facilities. So we wanted to find out, we get projections, or we get facilities, how many students are projected for each, or can be housed in each school by the state. But the state just looks at instructional units and plugs some numbers in there, not thinking about programs. And when I'm talking about programs, and on that little pyramid, triangle, I'm the P, the program person. So what they don't look at is what programs are happening in that school. For instance, there may be special ed programs that house self-contained special ed programs that house 4 students in a large classroom. But they have to have a large classroom because of the equipment and the needs of those students. We may have half classrooms that are used for ESOL and that sort of stuff. And then we have some schools that don't have those half classrooms, so they have to provide ESOL or EIP or something like that in a full classroom. Well, that's certainly not 15 or 20 students, whatever the state uses. The state generally uses 15 for growth. And of course, you've heard all of our numbers that we have 20, 21, and then 28 in 4th and 5th grade. So we wanted to do a data-driven facility audit. So I was asked to be a part of it just to look at instruction and curriculum as we went around. CW and I, first I had all of the principals to send in their floor plans to us. And I said to them, please mark on these floor plans how each instructional unit is used. You can put 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. If you put ESOL, which is our English as second language, if you put EIP, early intervention program, if you have title parapros in a room, put all of that in there, enrichment and everything, put all of that in there, but put on there what percentage of time that teacher uses that room. Because if you're aware of special ed students, sometimes they're served collaboratively in the regular class, sometimes they're served in a resource situation where they come out of the classroom into a small class.